For those who know me, I tend to rant and over-explain most things, so I wanted to do a little challenge for myself. 1-minute boss guides for each boss. Feel free to use the YouTube timeline down below to skip to the boss that you'd like to hear about. There are also going to be boss cards linked in the description. For anyone looking for full dungeon walkthroughs, those are going to be released in the following weeks leading up to the start of Season 1, so subscribe if you haven't already. Alright, let's see if I can do this. Arcane orbs will spawn periodically around the room, roughly every 25 seconds. Your group needs to soak these. However you decide to do this is up to you. I recommend that tanks and healers focus on soaking orbs, but DPS don't be afraid to soak them if they get close. Tanks, you will be targeted with a frontal. During this, make sure you're aiming it away from your group, ideally towards the edge of the room. DPS and healers will get targeted by mana bombs. Players should do their best to let this expire away from important locations, ideally outside of the room. Lastly, when Vexamus reaches 100 energy, he's going to cast an ability called Arcane Fissure. Each player will spawn 4 swirls 1 second apart that will be relatively lethal, so just don't get hit. The tricky part is that it'll occasionally overlap with certain mechanics, like the frontal and soaks, or maybe like mana bombs and fissures, so just be mindful. Spawn Crawth by throwing 3 orbs into the goal of Searing Blaze, aka just use your extra action button. Once the boss is engaged, tanks will need to be mindful of the Tank Buster Savage Peck. Crawth will also randomly cast a frontal at players, just avoid getting hit. And then lastly, the main mechanic of the fight is called Deafening Screech. First and foremost, stay spread out. Similar to the Quaking Affix, this is going to deal damage to you and others, and it'll silence you if you're caught casting. Every time this cast goes off, everyone will gain a debuff which will result in increased damage from each subsequent cast. The way you remove this debuff is by scoring 3 goals into either the red goal or the white goal. The red goal will stun the boss and make Crawth take 75% more damage for a few seconds, but then your group is going to have to deal with the Fire Swarm swirls which aggressively spawn. The white goal will spawn winds that will push you towards the edge of the platform, along with tornadoes that'll knock you up and around if you bump into them. You can counter this mechanic for up to 20 seconds by picking up the orbs which will spawn, which make you immune to knockback and also grant 45% haste. As of the recording of this video, the buff timer starts when the orbs spawn, not when you pick them up. Tanks, beware of the Bark Breaker. It will make you take increased physical damage from all sources for 9 seconds. Germinate will spawn swirls under each player, causing them to take damage if you're hit and spawning dormant adds. DPS, just pat away. The Ancient Branch is the only add that matters though. Make sure you kick it on its Healing Touch cast. Once it dies, it will cast Abundance. It's that green circle that's pretty much impossible to see. Make sure you're standing inside of it to remove your Splinter Bark debuff. The big moment of the fight is whenever the Ancient casts Burst Forth, which will make the adds all emerge from the ground. Everyone should use a defensive if possible, and healers get ready to panic. Pray your tank knows what he's doing. And then just rinse and repeat. The only thing that matters in this fight are your stacks of overwhelming power. You gain stacks whenever you take damage from basically any mechanic, either avoidable or unavoidable. Watch out for the frontal called Astral Breath. It's pretty easy to dodge if you're near melee. Bomb players, just move away, or have other people move away from you. Just don't cleave anyone. Lastly, Power Vacuum will suck everyone into the boss, and just run away from this. If you notice you're at 3 stacks, just try to move towards the edge of the room, so when you do inevitably take damage, you can just keep the room clear. Tanks, as you notice these rifts spawn, just pull Doragosa away. And that's it. That does it. Did I do it? Crawth was a little close, I think. If you found this video useful or like the sound of my voice, hit that subscribe button. I cover all content related to Mythic Plus and tanking. Also, huge shout out to my Patreons who make all of this work possible. Without them, there'd be a lot less of, well, whatever you call this. Hope you're all staying happy, healthy, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Peace.